Let me hear what this is all about.
Like I said, life's loops.
Breakfast cereal?
No. Loops. Cycles. One chapter ends, another begins. Life's full of them. At least my guru tells me so.
Hi guys, it's Gaming Evangelist, and today we are going to do a complete guide on weapons in Cyberpunk. By the end of this video, I'm sure all of your questions regarding weapons will be answered, so make sure you stick till the end. Cyberpunk is a freakishly ambitious game, and one of the areas we see that is in its weapon types. It offers its players a huge variety of weapon types to engage with enemies, and today we are going to understand what are the different weapon class types, weapon rarities, and how to get them. To illustrate this better, I'm gonna draw up a chart so we can all visualize this. There are 4 main weapon types in Cyberpunk through which we can kill enemies. These are ranged weapons, so your standard guns, revolvers, snipers, etc. Then there are melee weapons such as knife, katanas, baseball bats. Then we got throwables, which are mostly various types of grenades that have different abilities. And last but not least, we got cyberwares, which can be obtained from various Ripper Dogs throughout Night City. Let's talk about ranged and melee weapons. In each of these there are weapon rarities. White ones being the uncommon, green are common, blue are rare, purple is for epic, and then orange is for legendary. The higher the rarity types, the better are the weapon stats and the more harder they are to obtain. Higher rarity types also offer extra modification slots over their inferior siblings. You may see some weapons that have iconic next to the rarity. They are nothing but weapons that are rewarded as part of a story quest or a side mission. It's not a rarity type. Breaking these rarities down even further, and this is where it starts to get fun and tricky. Ranged weapons have different classes within these rarities. They are known as power weapons, smart weapons, and tech weapons. Weapon class can be found when you hover over or click on the weapon. It's right on the top left under the weapon name. Power weapons are basically your standard weapon types from any other shooting game. Just load and shoot. Nothing out of the ordinary, just classic standard shooting with high damage. Smart weapons are the second class, and these weapons basically lock in on the target even when you are not directly aiming on them. As long as you're within this blue box, a red dot appears where you can either target the head or the body, and you can just shoot and they will all hit the enemy. This is great for headshots and enemies that are difficult to hit or behind cover. You will need a cyberware called SmartLink that basically enables the bullets to hone in on the target. The legendary version can be bought from this Ripper Dog in Little China, Watson. The last class, and my personal favorite, is called tech weapons. The idea is to charge up a shot and unleash one big shot that deals a high amount of damage. Most variants of these guns will basically kill enemies in a couple of shots with proper perks and weapon mods. Enemies that have armors on or enemies with more health like cyber psychos are a piece of cake for these sort of weapons. You can charge shots in different ways on different weapons. For example, on shotguns I found that simply holding the R2 on my PlayStation 5 charged the shot, but on rifles we need to first aim and then hold R2 to charge a shot. It's an extremely fun mechanic to use, and I recommend that you try all 3 weapon types during the course of the game. Now coming to melee weapons. Melee has the exact same rarities as range weapons, but they don't have any classes. Melee weapon types include katanas, baseball bats, knives, etc. If you're a fan of close range combat or like sword fights or throwing knives, then you may want to give these a try. Throwables are the third type of weapon. I won't spend much time on this one as they're mostly grenades having different abilities such as stun grenades, poison grenades, grenades that disable enemy weapons or reveal enemy positions. I mean, you get the idea. Coming to the fourth weapon type, some of the cyberwares can also be qualified as weapons such as mantis blades and gorilla arms. Both of these can be purchased from various Ripper Dogs. Gorilla arms are also a reward for one of the story missions, which I won't spoil here. So we talked about different weapon types, weapon rarities and classes. Now, how to obtain these weapons? For cyberwares, as mentioned, you can purchase them at various Ripper docks across Night City. But for others, there are 3 primary ways to obtain them. Number 1 is looting, number 2 is purchasing from vendors, and the third is crafting and or upgrading. Looting weapons is completely random. We never know what rarity or type of weapon the enemy will drop, so I won't rely on this one for good weapon types. What I would do recommend though is loot every single enemy or chest you find for a greater purpose. More on that in a bit. Let's talk number 2, which is purchasing these weapons from a vendor. You can purchase weapons from various vendors across Night City, though we don't know exactly what weapons will they be selling. Also, I feel it's expensive buying weapons from vendors all the time, so again, this is not what I would recommend. Here is what I would do recommend though. Crafting and upgrading. Now what you would want to do for this one is to invest at least 18 perk points in technical ability skill tree and get access to the perks Grease Monkey and Edge Runner Artisan. What these perks will do is let you craft epic and legendary versions of weapons, throwables, components and other items. With these 2 perks, what you would want to do is loot every single enemy and chest as I mentioned earlier, and what you would want to do is, rather than selling the items and weapons you loot, you disassemble them. Don't sell them for money. Trust me, money will come as you play the game and do gigs and cyber psychos, etc. Disassemble the item and you get the components. I kept doing that from the early part of the game, and by the time I got these crafting perks, I had an insane amount of materials to craft various weapon types. If you have the perks and the materials, there are 2 ways you can craft weapons. The first one is having weapon blueprints. These blueprints can be purchased from vendors or are part of some of the quest related stuff around Night City. I found a couple of blueprints during certain gigs that I did. The second and more efficient way is if you have a common or rare version of a weapon, you can use that to craft the epic or legendary variant of that weapon. You need to make sure that the weapons are iconic ones, as for those I found that in order to craft epic and legendaries, you don't require blueprints and they can simply be upgraded. Iconic weapons are some of the best weapons in the game, and their rewards for doing gigs, side missions and certain story missions. You can simply craft the legendary or epic versions of those. With that being said guys, let me know in the comments some of your favorite weapons, and if you're a new player, did you find this guide helpful? I hope you liked this guide, and if you have came this far, please leave a like and sub to the channel as it means a lot. For my video on the Netrunner build, click here. For my review of Cyberpunk next gen version, click here. Hope you all have a great day and thank you.
Kill! Kill!